Chapter 1, An Overview of Ethics. Part 1 of 2, Ethics, Morals, and Laws. The learning outcomes include define ethics and demonstrate why it is important to act according to a code of ethics, compare and contrast ethics, integrity, morals, and laws. Let's start by asking, why do we need to know? Why do we care? Of course, you need to understand these concepts to do well in the course. But beyond that, if you understand legal and ethical concepts, you will be better prepared to talk with other professionals. In particular, think about talking with consultants that you hire to help you improve your business. The more informed you are, the better you will be able to understand and critique their recommendations and make the decisions that are best for your organization. The consultant is, after all, trying to sell his or her services to you. In addition, you need to understand issues related to ethical use of technology, both in the U.S. and globally. In our increasingly complex global society, knowledge of these issues is essential. However, you should always consult with a global attorney who is familiar with the local customs and laws in the countries where you plan to operate. This class will absolutely not teach you to be a lawyer, but it will teach you to be aware of and understand legal and ethical technology issues that may affect you and your organization. Now let's define ethics. How would you define it? Do you know what ethics means? We all likely follow ethical standards in our personal and professional lives, but we still have different definitions of ethics. From businessdictionary.com, ethics is defined as the basic concepts and fundamental principles of decent human conduct. We all know what decent human conduct means, don't we? We likely may disagree about exactly what constitutes decent, and frankly, we're all correct in our assumptions. We develop ethical values based on nature and nurture characteristics, and we all grow up in inherently different homes with different religions, customs, and family history. Values that are considered when looking at ethics include equality of all men and women, and basic or essential human rights that apply to everyone, regardless of any individually identifiable characteristic, such as race, ethnicity, country of origin, gender, sexual orientation, etc. Ethics also includes obeying the laws of the land and being concerned for health, safety, and, recently added to the discussion, concern for the natural environment. At its most basic conceptual level, ethics refers to what is right and wrong. We follow social norms when we behave ethically, but again, our ethical beliefs may vary depending on our group or tribe. Our families and upbringing influence our beliefs about right and wrong, and so does the education we earn, the friends we choose, the organizations where we work, the temples, churches, synagogues, and mosques we attend, the games we play, the people we date, etc. We all are in many different groups or tribes, and each tribe may have different sets of ethical standards. Taken together, all of our tribes influence our personal ethical values. Correspondingly, our ethical behavior generally follows accepted social norms of the group or tribe that we belong to. Of course, doing what is ethical is often hard. Do you turn in your friend if she or he cheats? How about your significant other? How about your mom? Our ethical standards may allow us to turn in another student for cheating, but we may balk when we consider turning in a close friend, a significant other, or a close relative. We consider the standards of the group or tribe that we are part of when we ethically evaluate particular situations. And it's hard to make consistently fair and ethical decisions when we are placed in tough situations. As IT professionals, we must be aware of and have a good understanding of ethics. We are going to be responsible for protecting the integrity of the data that we oversee, and ethics will come into play. We all try to follow a personal code of ethics. As mentioned, that code emerges from the various tribes that influence us. When we give respect and consideration to everyone, we are acting with integrity. Integrity also refers to a rational and considered application of the same moral standards, no matter the situation. If a person next to you cheats, you should either turn them in or not, but you should make a consistent and fair decision every time, even when the cheater is your mom. And if you're following the university code of student conduct, you should turn in anyone who you personally know has cheated. It's not that easy, though. That's where our various tribes influence our ethical behavior. We act inconsistently because an ethical challenge conflicts with our moral standards. For instance, you owe a higher duty of care to your mom than you do to your classmate. You make ethical decisions differently depending on the situation or the people involved. That's a challenge for everyone who tries to act with integrity. You may want to take a look at the YouTube video here, which talks about the Golden Rule. Almost all major religions are focused on the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat them like you want to be treated. Different tribes within a religion, as you know, often interpret the same readings in different manners, however. If you have integrity, you do the right thing in all situations, even when nobody is watching what you do. We all tend to behave differently when we know we're being watched. But how we behave when no one is watching is a better indication of the underlying integrity that we possess. No matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all. Integrity is everything. People will remember how you treated others and will evaluate you based on the evidence they have available. Think about your every interaction being stored in someone's memory and becoming the basis for their beliefs about you. How do you treat the cleaning staff at your organization? The waitress at O'Charlie's? The sum total of your interactions with others demonstrates your integrity. Others are watching you and forming opinions on you based only on their interactions with you. It's difficult to change the opinion of someone once you make a bad first impression. Let's take a look at how morals, ethics, and laws differ and where challenges emerge. Morals are your own personal beliefs about what is right and wrong. The way you act is directly based on what you believe is the right thing to do. Your morals are shaped by your families, your friends, your social groups, your career, etc. All of the tribes that count you as a member. Ethics, then, refers to standards or codes of behavior that apply to members of a group or tribe that you belong to. Ethics are shaped by the individual or group that you belong to, the morals of the individuals that comprise that group, as well as the overall group perceptions of what is the right thing to do. Finally, there are laws you must obey, no matter whether they conflict with your own personal morals or the ethical code of a particular group. In the U.S., if you don't like the laws, you have the opportunity to peacefully assemble and protest, to freely express your opinion, to contact your congressional representatives, and to vote for people who you believe will develop laws in line with your morals and ethics. If your candidate doesn't win or your law doesn't pass, you have the freedom to do the same thing again. Meanwhile, you must obey the set of laws before you, unless you find them so inherently against your beliefs that you could not abide by them. In that case, you either have to be willing to go to trial and possibly prison for breaking the laws of the land, or you may need to move to another location that is more in line with your beliefs. In the most extreme of environments, you sometimes have to make a snap decision about what to do. Think about a 17-year-old boy who has just been conscripted into the German army in World War II. If he is told to kill innocent men, women, and children simply because they are Jewish, what does he do? If he commits the act, it's difficult to argue that he was just following orders, which is often a defense when war crime trials are held. But if that boy says no, what will happen to him? He will likely be shot as well. It's difficult to make ethical decisions when time and circumstances influence your ability to make a fast decision. But we have to do it in our personal and professional lives and live with the consequences. Each of us develops certain morals which may evolve over time as we become more active in our various tribes and as society and technology bring about changes in how we interact with others. We have an ethical code of how we should respond regardless of situation variables, and we need to follow the laws of the land. Where do challenges emerge for an individual or an organization? Clearly, the challenges faced by a leader at an organization pale in comparison to the 17-year-old German soldier we discussed before. But workers face challenges every day. The triple bottom line of organizations may make it hard for us to behave ethically in a competitive and ever-changing workplace. First, there are economic considerations pulling at you. The organization wants to make money even while remaining socially conscious, and sometimes trade-offs have to be made. Employees face pressure to do their part toward making the company profitable, and they may be rightly concerned about job security if the company starts losing money. In that case, our reasonable employee has to make decisions with conflicting objectives. You want your company to be socially responsible, but the company has to make money. Of course, even nonprofits face challenges. They need to secure enough donations, reach enough of their targeted group, have a positive impact in terms of jobs or houses or whatever the aim of their organization. When we feel these challenges, we are tempted to fudge the numbers just a bit to make the company look better. Whether we give in to these temptations or not depends in part on our personal and professional codes of ethics. Next, there are social aspects. Companies wish to achieve goodwill from their community, and they may donate to causes that follow their mission. From an ethical perspective, employers want to keep their employees satisfied and well-trained to meet ever-changing needs. Besides having a happier workforce, you also have a group of people who are prepared to meet the changing needs of your organization. Finally, the environment plays a role in remaining ethical. Companies have to consider the impact of their business on the environment and how to manage waste. A failure in this area may lead to loss of goodwill, social, and loss of money, economic, due to penalties for violating laws and regulations, along with bad publicity. Similar tensions are pulling you, the employee, in different directions, and you must determine how to best approach the triple bottom line for your organization. Studies suggest, however, that ethical violations by managers are the byproduct of success, not of competitive pressures. This is the Bathsheba syndrome and is based on the story of King David, who became corrupted as he gained power and success. The Bathsheba syndrome may be facilitated when people decide not to pay attention to their leaders' inappropriate behaviors. As managers become more successful, they tend to become complacent. They suddenly have access to information about people and then begin to have access to resources within the organization, which brings them power and control over resources, including people. They learn that they can affect outcomes by managing organizational resources. Managers must be careful not to fall prey to this syndrome. I'm sure you've heard the oft-repeated saying, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This statement was made by Baron John Dalbert Acton in about 1870, although it was quoted from a letter he wrote to a friend in 1887. Acton was responding to the Church's doctrine that the Pope is infallible. At that time, kings and monarchs were supposed to be treated differently than others. People were supposed to judge the Pope and monarchs by different standards, assuming that they were never wrong. The second part of Acton's saying, which is not as well known as the first, says that great men are almost always bad men. That part of the quote is not as agreed upon as the first portion of the quote. I contend that if Acton wanted to treat all people the same and give them the benefit of the doubt, he should do the same to monarchs and religious leaders. Historically, while we know of many monarchs who are bad, there are others who are benevolent and beloved by their people. I challenge the second part of Acton's statement and do my best to give people the benefit of the doubt, no matter who they are or what titles they hold. However, I do see his point in saying that the Pope is never wrong may lead to inconsistencies and may challenge beliefs about ethics and power. What does this mean for us? As employees and managers, we must struggle to bring truth to power and allocate resources in a careful, measured, and ethical manner. If those at the top behave in this manner, the rest of the organization will fall in line. We must also have the courage to report when leaders act in unethical manners, even when speaking up may get you fired. You have to decide how much you are willing to relax your ethical standards and how egregious the unethical behavior has been. There is no doubt that the risk of unethical behavior have increased. Remember that people are always watching what you do, even at times that you consider to be your most private. Organizations should encourage employees to act ethically, and we will talk about how they do that through the concept of corporate social responsibility in another section. In sum, treat others like you want to be treated, and avoid the temptation to act in manners that are opposed to your ethics, integrity, and morals, even as you achieve more power in the organization over time. Don't become King David, and don't allow people to corrupt you absolutely. Paraphrasing from Acton.